Hi, I'm Claire. Before I trained to become a coach, when I was working as a leader in organisations, if I'm brutally honest with myself, the perspective that I held on leadership, the lens, if you like, I was looking through most of the time was that it was my job to help people, to fix things, and to swoop in and come to the rescue. What I have come to see now is that this hero complex that exists in many of us when it comes to leadership really doesn't serve people. And this is a tricky one because in our culture, in mainstream culture, the idea of the hero is worshipped. We are fed this from a very early age. There are multi-billion-dollar industries built on the fantasy of the hero. And it can feel satisfying in the short term. It can have us feel like we're adding value. It gives us that short-term hit. But what it does at the same time is it disempowers people. If our tendency as a leader is to swoop in and rescue, to try and fix problems that our team have, then we are disempowering them. It's coming from a good place, but we can be inadvertently taking power away from them, limiting their growth. We're also making our lives as leaders a lot harder than it needs to be, because when we're in that energy, we are rushing around putting fires out, quite literally. And this kind of change, a shift away from that, it can take time. I think a first step is noticing, is this something that I do, and noticing the ways and places that you may fall into this. A good place to look, a very practical place to look, is how you set up the one-to-ones you have with your team. If you're coming from a place where you're truly seeing as your team being responsible for the actions that they take, really responsible for their performance, really responsible for their own learning, does the format of your one-to-ones reflect that? If it does, it's more likely you're saying at the start of the one-to-one, what would you like to focus on today? And at the end, you'd be asking them what they're taking from it, what they're learning. They will be telling you. They will be writing it down and playing that back to you, rather than having a set agenda that you have laid out, and what they want to cover being squeezed in there and fitted in within what you believe is important. It's not to say you can't cover the things that are on your mind, but allowing your team member to go first, to bring to the table what they want to talk about. Maybe those two things, what you want to cover and what they want to cover, end up being the same thing. That's a very practical application of this. So I hope that's helpful. Just noticing where we may have a tendency to jump in, to fix, to be leaning forward a little bit too much, noticing where we can lean back and create a bit more space for people to take ownership, to take responsibility for what they're doing and what they're learning, can make our lives easier as a leader and can help them grow.